All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here. It is September 28th when I'm recording this. Basically, we got one more day left of September, and I want to see if something is going to be happening because today we're finally getting a little bit of an upside move, and it's getting supported. So we'll see how far that can go. Anyway, the Orlando Summit, which is the simpler trading team, we're going to be out there. We're going to be putting that on October 27th, 28th. Hopefully, we get a lot of you guys to join. It's going to be a great time. But early bird pricing ends October 2nd, which is right around the corner. So if you guys are at all interested in going, make sure you get your early bird tickets and get signed up for this. I'm going to be out there. You can see the whole team's going to be out there. And then that is going to roll right into the Orlando Money Show, which I'm also going to be out there, and I'm going to have a speaking spot on that following Monday. All right, hope you guys see this and enjoy it, and we'll see you guys there. And then as far as the markets go, let's kind of talk about some of the internals. So here we can see, let me get this lined up a little bit better. And what we can notice in through here is we've had a pretty brutal pullback basically end of July. So we have August and September that this has been moving down. You can see the 20-day SMA, the number of stocks over the 20-day SMA really fell off at the end of July. And then our first bounce was right here when the 20-day got down to about 15%. 15% of stocks were over their 20-day SMA. That's pretty darn low. We did get a bounce, and the bounce is mild. You can kind of see it picked up here, but really didn't do too much on the 50 or the 200-day, and things continue to roll over. But now we are back down to a kind of a washout point. The number of stocks over their 20-day SMA got down to about 10%, and we got the number of stocks over their 50-day SMA to about 15%. So these are really, really low numbers, and you can see that generally speaking, when we get down into this range, we have produced local bottoms through before. So it seems to me that the market is in kind of an area where it's just it's been pretty rough. And once the pendulum swings one way, it does tend to go the other way. And I'm kind of looking at this saying, hey, this might be the time to start, probably getting out of your shorts, but then maybe getting into some longs. So that's kind of the general thing. The other thing we can look at is the number of new highs versus new lows. Now, it wasn't great that we were seeing new highs in through, or sorry, new lows in through this pullback. It kind of meant that maybe it was this last move was kind of weak and maybe not a ton of names were really able to get very high. Yes, there was a lot of participation, but maybe they didn't really get too high. And so when it started to pull back, we started to see an increase in new lows. Nothing crazy like what we saw back here when the real bear market was going, but still it was a little bit concerning. Now, we don't know how much damage that has done to the market totally, but there is something I would kind of say is that the new lows tend to spike when you find a local bottom, even through here. And so what do we have? We've had kind of a spike of new lows. So that's what you can see in through here, and that pretty much did call out each low in through here. So this is another indication that we might be seeing kind of a local bottom and that maybe things are going to start moving up from here. I'd like to still see some confirmation, but it's something to be aware of. And then going forward, if this is going to be a good rally and things are going to, recover, we need to see new highs start to expand as well. All right, so let's kind of get into the market itself. We have been seeing that this was a very, very strong move to the downside, and it definitely persisted for quite some time. But all my metrics are saying that this is basically extreme to the downside, that it is unlikely that this is going to go that much further right here, right now. What I have to do is leave the caveat that maybe if we get a bounce, we could still come down. But like right here, right now, it does seem like it needs to kind of take a breather to the downside. We have been running the 30 ATR and actually got outside of the 30 ATR on the daily chart, which shows that things were pretty oversold. And you could just see this was a pretty consistent bleed right there on the hourly chart. We are starting to finally see some positive divergence and the Moxie indicator getting over 0, which we haven't seen for quite some time. So this looks good. And you can also see that price is now up over the 15-minute 50. Now, we're not totally out of the woods. I would like to see price continue to follow the 15-minute 50, which means either it can keep following it there, or it can actually do a little bit of a test and move up from there. So I'm giving the market itself another day. Want to see what happens tomorrow. But yes, this is extremely oversold. The other thing we can look at, so you look at the overall chart on the monthly and the weekly, I see this on a monthly time frame, and that move that we had May, June, July was a very big move. And what it meant was we got too far away from support. We got too far away from the monthly moving average. And you can see now we are basically back at that moving average. And so for all of this that's happened, we could actually be saying that this was a pretty constructive pullback, and maybe we start to look higher. Um, if this doesn't happen, like if this is going to get worse, well, I would imagine we probably get a bounce or a flag, and then we continue rolling down. But we'll have to continue looking for that and seeing if this develops that direction. Now, another one that I was looking at, if we go over here to Tesla, and we do this on the higher time frames, and you have to keep this in context with the overall market. Like, what did the overall market do? Well, the overall market had a pretty big pullback, as I said, back down to the monthly 10. Look what Tesla has done. It also pulled back basically to the monthly 10. And then if you look at the weekly chart, yeah, there's been a lot of shake and bake, but if you really look at this, what might this be? This might actually just be a really big flag on the weekly time frame. And then we can add to that that the Moxie indicator is about to cross over and fire along, and we can see that not only back here price got rejected by the monthly 50, it was or weekly 50, it was able to get over here, and if we could start using it for support and then go up, that would be a great situation. Now we can kind of come over here, we look at the daily and hourly, and I said this is still very early. We are not confirmed, but what I'm looking at is from everything I'm seeing just that things are so oversold that this might be a generally good time to kind of look at going long on stuff, because for as much as the market has moved around, Tesla still has a higher high compared to the market. So I'll show you that. If we go back to the SPY, and you can see that right here, that the SPY has a lower high, a lower low, rather. And so you look at that compared to Tesla, and what do we have? We basically have relative strength. We have a higher low. Okay, so we are starting to see some divergences, and I would say some strength divergences like that. Some of the other names that I've kind of been looking at, DKNG, we look at these again on the higher time frames, so DraftKings, and they've had a really good move, but all that meant that they got overbought. They're still pretty far away from the monthly 10. I'm not quite sure what to say about this quite yet, because usually I do like to see price closer to the monthly 10. But if you notice here, they really haven't fallen apart too much. If you look back here at the daily chart, remember, the SPY made a lower low. DraftKings and Tesla are continuing to make higher lows. So I'm very interested to see if this actually happens, and basically what that means is this was a glorified flag like that, and now we're in a consolidation mode and want to see if we go higher. Now, of course, there were certain names that definitely got totally run over and just bashed to smithereens, and there was a lot of damage out there. I mean, we can think about the cryptos, and you can look at this. I mean, that has been pretty brutal, and yeah, many names did do this. They had big up moves, and then they just gave it all back. So it's still too early to see if this is going to actually be something, if these are going to be able to really recover, and if they can be tradable. But the thing I will point out, and we'll have to see if this continues, but notice that price has been going down this whole time. Notice that the Moxie indicator has basically stayed just, well, around zero and just over zero. I view that as a form of positive divergence in this case, and I'm seeing it with all the cryptos. As it's still a little bit too early, I don't really want to jump the gun right here, but I would keep an eye on this, because these things have just had a brutal pullback over the course of a few months, and you know what? They are actually right back, look at that, right back at this major support area. So I wouldn't be shorting them anymore, and if anything, I would say that maybe this is an area, if you're interested, to start picking something up and perhaps going long on it. Seen quite a few things like that. And then we can look at other names like Palantir. Let me get this over to here. And, these names, big moves, and what are we seeing? Well, they needed to pull back for a little bit. You can see that there is a gap here between price and the moving average, and probably what this is going to end up being a flag, and then as the moving average moves up, they will meet, and that will end up working out. And you can see if we did get really overbought back here, everything was overbought in June, July, and as far as Palantir goes, look, it basically is pulled back to the weekly 21. Could end up being a really good spot. And if we look down here, we didn't really know this until today. I would say today is kind of a good confirmation. I saw this was a double bottom. We saw that it was getting a little bit overbought, and it bounced yesterday. Fine. There wasn't enough information to conclusively say, yes, I'm going to want to go buy this for a swing long. And at this point, now I think this actually does look pretty good. There's a lot of energy there, but I don't want to go chase it. I don't want to go buy it up there. So what I'm going to do is wait for some sort of pullback, maybe around in this area, and see if we can catch that, and that should help set us something up for the next move to the upside. All right, guys, hope you enjoy that. Remember, if you are interested, we do have the Moxie Indicator Mastery, $7 for a 30-day trial. Of course, you can get the Moxie Indicator itself if you guys are interested in that. We have it on StockCharts.com. We have it on Thinkorswim, and we have it on TradingView. So come find it wherever you want it. And then sign up for the Simpler Summit in late October over in Orlando. The early bird sale is going on until October 2nd. So hope to see you guys there. Thanks again. Next time.